There's a sense of two Chicagos, in the basketball sense, in a political sense, and a real life sense. The history of segregation in Chicago met at Derrick Rose. And a lot of people were looking at the championships that they could have won. You're cleared to play. The doctors say you're cleared to play. Why aren't you playing?
Is the kid from Chicago now just a rich millionaire?
It was like throwing a Molotov cocktail in the city.
It's the most polarizing, hard to wrap your arms around sports story that I've ever lived through in the city of Chicago.
You know, I know it's emotional, but you just have to understand that you're inspiring millions of fans, but inspiration goes both ways. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the inspiration that you're getting from your fans.
It's truly a blessing, man. With all this stuff that's going on in this city, a kid from Inglewood got something positive going on.
Anytime you see me cry or show emotion like that, it comes from a place of appreciation, of knowing where I came from.
When Derrick was born, he had yellow skin, so he get his nickname from his grandmama. She started calling him Pooh Bear. But some kind of way Bear got left out, they just started calling him Pooh.
Oh, when you say the name Pooh, that resonates home. That's Derrick Rose, that's Inglewood.
Being from Chicago kind of f***ed you up a little bit, bro. Like, even stopping at stop signs, lights, you're looking on the side, you always think somebody is sneaking up on you. I don't know why. You always think something is going to happen. You always have that thought in your mind that today might be your day.
When we first moved to Inglewood in '73, it was a tree-lined street. It turned rough one while when drugs came in the area.
Drug dealers kind of like ran Inglewood, and I think that's what kind of brought me and my brothers together. And Derrick being the last boy, we was kind of like watching over them.
It's a love-hate relationship with how I grew up. I hated the whole concept that you put into in the Inglewood area. The poverty, the jobs not being there, everything negative you could possibly think of. Drugs, alcohol. Everything negative is literally right there at your doorstep.
I didn't get in trouble a lot, but I was around it. Always around it, but smart enough to stay a couple of feet away from what's actually going on. My brother above me, Alan, he was a knee freak. Then all of a sudden, I seen him turn from a knee freak to wearing a snow outfit for like 2 months because he wanted to sell drugs.
That's part of life I don't want to talk about. It ain't something that I'm not proud about. It was a very dark place. You had to do what you had to do. Glad I got out of that. Thank you, bro.
I knew that life wasn't for me.
We just sheltered him, but he was able to see just a lot of the bad things. But as of like him wanting to join the gang, him wanting to sell drugs, that's something that we stayed on him. Like, nah, you're not going to do this. You're going to go to school. You're going to go to school. You're going to play some type of sports. Because we just all figured that, you know, sports at that point in time was going to be his only way out.
Murray Park was Derrick's place to go to play ball. His friends was there, and they had a good time there. But I knew if I was looking for Derrick, he was always up at that park shooting ball.
It's a place that me, Derrick, and so many other people from this community grew up in. We were here almost every day.
They even nicknamed that Murder Park just off the strength of people getting killed up in the park. If you go to any other basketball court outside of our neighborhood, it was for sure you was gonna get jumped or get shot at, and you didn't want to deal with that. So we only went to one park.
If you wasn't an athlete or a drug dealer, a hustler, you really was nobody in that neighborhood.
I know growing up in Chicago that there used to be a code amongst gang members that ballers got a pass, and they even call it the baller pass.
They kept the trouble away from him.
They saw a lot of talent come and go to waste, but they knew he was a good talent that they didn't want to see go the opposite way.
The older guys put that cloak over us and allowed us to grow and not be caught up in some of the other things that was going on outside of the basketball court. If they didn't do that, then I don't know if I would be sitting right here. I don't know if Derrick could be in the position that he's in.
Murray Park, it'll make you, break you, make you a better man, make you a worse man. So it depends on which path you want to take. Once you was allowed to step on that court, you knew you could play. And when that walk in and see Derrick on the court, I'm like, okay, you stepped on the big boy court now, huh?
My mom took him to the hospital. He fell out of the tree.
I didn't break it falling out of the tree. I was on the court, and I go up for a rebound. I end up getting taken out of the air, and I landed on my left elbow. I didn't want to tell my mom it came from basketball, so I thought that she was gonna try to like stop me from playing.
Later on that night, I'm at the park shooting around. He walk in the park.
I still played with the cast on, bro. I was still playing.
Somebody that broke their arm at 1 o'clock and you playing basketball at 7 o'clock. Your arm is broke and you dribbling with one hand. I'm like, you going to the NBA.
Growing up, I was kind of mad. I was that mad kid that was mad because it wasn't a male figure around. The only image that I remember of my dad was him coming in and like an image. I only remember his face or what he had on. Him giving me a toy, like a huge truck that you go outside and like dig holes or whatever, a huge truck.
I think Derrick becoming the person that he is a result of him just not having much as a child.
I couldn't get money to even get like 5-cent candy. Now that's crazy. As a kid, you can't even find a nickel for 5-cent candy. I used to get a cup and put powdered sugar in it and get a spoon and sit there and watch Power Rangers and eat powdered sugar the whole day. Crazy, right?
I can remember going to his neighborhood and really being like, damn, this is like up. I can remember walking in the alley and seeing a dice game and seeing somebody rob it.
When he came in, he thought we were rich. I said, man, I ain't got no money. I said, why you think that? He said, man, this is a big house.
When I grew up, it was a 5-bedroom house. We had 13 people living in there. Out of them 13 people, 5 or 6 of them were crackheads. I remember stories of finding crack pipes, taking it to my grandma, like asking her, what's this? There's no way I should have been in that environment, but no human should have to go through, but you are, and you're surviving the whole time. You're not living. It's straight survival mode. My biggest motivation was my mom, just seeing how she struggled.
He would come home and he'd see his mother sitting at the table and she opened up the mail and then she just crying. He said, Mom, what's wrong? Baby, I don't know how I'm gonna pay, all these bills.
And we would sit down and look at the bills and figure out which bill can we pay? Light and gas is the main thing. We could get food, it was okay. And sometimes I would lie to him and tell him we got enough of this. Sometimes we didn't. And yes, my gas had went off before, and I had strived to get it back on. I had no choice but to tell them then. I could go to my other sons, and they would give me money to make sure that my bills stayed balanced. So we all worked that way.
When I was younger, I had a gambling problem. That was the only way I could hustle without getting hurt. People around my neighborhood, they hustled, they sold drugs, robbed people, stuck up people, this and that. That's not me. I was a little young kid at the time, big ears. I couldn't go that route. So I used to shoot dice a lot, like a lot. That was the safest way I could bring money home.
My Uncle Greg took him around the corner and said, I bet can't nobody outshoot my little nephew. They would shoot money ball. And he won money shooting jump shots for dollars.
I remember going to neighborhoods, playing different guys with money. People surrounding the court is just me, no matter how tall he was. If you put up the money, my guy putting up some money and we playing.
Some of my earliest memories of Derrick is coming out here and seeing him playing against a guy that grew up over here, Dion Freeman.
I remember people like coming to my crib, 20 kids on my porch, like, yeah, put on your shoes, put on your shoes. I'm like, what? They like, Dion up here talking what?
Dion was somebody that always wanted to play against Derrick because Dion thought in his mind he was the best player in the whole Inglewood.
I go up to the court, he's in high school, I'm in grammar school, all his guys surround the court. Like, I'm like, all right, so I'm really about to play him. He ended up getting killed, but yeah, I played him and I beat him. Just playing in them type of environments, I'm used to it. I don't know, I'm used to the pressure, for sure.
This dude got it at an early age, and he wanted it.
When I saw Derrick, I couldn't believe he was the age that they were saying because of his basketball IQ. I mean, his basketball IQ was up here, and the other kids were down here. He had the 4 S's: size, speed, skill, and strength. Stevie Wonder could have coached him.
I thought I was the best until I seen Derrick play. The way he moved, the way he passed, the way he thought about the game, everything, his approach to everything was a little different than everybody else around his age.
In high school, we were still kids. We didn't know what the future held for us. It was just fun for us, man. We played basketball, we had fun together. We all knew that we all wanted to get out of our situations and get out of poverty, and whatever came from it, that's what was going to happen.
He said this, I'm going to save my family. I heard him say this. I said, how you going to save your family? Watch.
If I were you, I would hate me too. But I mean, got nothing
Derrick
to
Rose
lose.
is maybe the best player in America. You look back 35 years and you can tell me I can have 2 guards in the history of this state. I take Isaiah Thomas, I take Derrick Rose. I've been a college basketball coach at Northern Illinois for 4 years, and I get a call from one of my friends in the city. He said, hey, there's this kid going to be going to Simeon. You need to check out this kid, Derrick Rose. Now I'm calling the city championship game. I'm watching the Froshsoft game. And I see this kid who can jump out of the gym, but he's tough, he's chiseled, he's athletic. And I said, who the heck is that guy? That kid's a stud. And they said, oh, that's that kid, Derrick Rose, that we were telling you about.
Unbelievable. Derrick Rose, another steal.
First thing the parents say, hey, man, you coach Derrick, man. Can you teach my son? Dude, the only thing I can teach you is play hard. Everything else got to come with it. You know, you got your coaches, and then you got God gifted talent, man. It is what it is. Ain't nothing you can do about that. You got your coaches, and you got God-given talent.
Here's Rose. He's going to make a play. He's going one-on-one. The loft, the score! Derrick Rose with the bucket. They have won the 2006 state championship. And the Simeon Wolverines will have done it. Back-to-back state championships for Simeon.
Whatever God give you, use it. And that's what he did, man. It got him where he want to be at in life.
I was a year or 2 away from college, and we were living in poverty, and I want to go to the league now. Like, I want to go out of high school. And if the rules was probably, if they didn't change back then, I probably would have came out of high school because we was financially just up. Me and my mom got in a lot of arguments because I felt like I could change everything about me getting to the league. The only problem that was in my way was my age.
And by the time the kid became a sophomore, I had to stress it to Derrick Reggie again. I said, I'm not finna deal with all this stress, man. And you got people coming at Derrick left and right. Somebody better step up.
He was playing with an AAU program called Ferrari. And at this time, Nike wanted to sponsor Ferrari, but they wanted Derrick to move up and play 16.
They smelled money. And when you smell that money, man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. Whew.
Me and my brothers had to pull Derrick from the Ferrari AAU team and start our own AAU team with him. Because it got to the point that they were just looking at our brother like he was just a walking dollar sign. However successful Derrick was gonna be in life, we'd never want him to feel that he owed anybody nothing.
That's one thing I can give credit to Reggie on. He kept them vultures off of him, man.
I'll never forget this moment in June, the day before his graduation. And he was in the gym. I was like, "We not coming tomorrow, you graduate." And he was like, "Nah, I have to be in the gym." I'm like, "But you graduate, man." He's like, "Nah, I'll be in the gym." Derrick was one of the hardest kids I have ever met.
Derrick went to work with me one time. You know, I let the kids go to work with me, make some money or whatever. Kid was working so hard, man. I almost told him to quit school and just come work for me.
He comes on campus in the summer, and I go in the gym, and I see him walking in, and I walk in. Absolute sweating, craziness, going nuts. He had been in there about an hour. I take a recruit somewhere, come back to campus. He's still in the gym. He'd been in there 5 hours. I call him over. "Kid, what are you doing?" "What do you mean?" "Market coach, I worked. I gotta get better. I'm fearful that I'm not good enough."
He called me and he was like, "Man, I'm ready to come home. I don't think I belong down here."
His friends in Chicago said, "Coach, he thought you were the devil." He called us and said, "I'm playing for the devil."
So I'm like, "Man, come on, man. He the devil, man. No, I hate him." I'm like, "Come on." He really thought Cal didn't like him.
Yeah, I felt like he was picking on me the first couple of months in practice. He threatened me like 5 times to kick me out of practice. It's like, damn, why you on me so hard, man? But I was venting to Dre because I felt like Dre was the only one that was gonna hear me out.
Couldn't just let him do what he wanted to do. And I had to coach him in a way like, okay, feel this out, yet here's when you're the best version of you. This is what it looks like. And by the end of the year, it wasn't close. He was an absolute beast, offensively, defensively, leadership, all those things.
He ended up sticking with it, and Cal, now his best friend.
The best players I've coached, him being one, Anthony Davis, I can go John Wall, the best players were fearful they weren't good enough. And that was part of their fuel. Then when they figured out, you know what, I'm not bad, they all turned that fuel to, well, I am good enough, but I want to be the very best. And then it turns to the very best that ever played.
He said that he was going to be drafted. He talked to me and said he was going to go on and try to get into the NBA. We sat down, he talked about it, asked him this what he really wanted, and he said yes.
My thing was just playing in the league, like playing in the NBA. I never thought about where I'll be living or what car I'll be driving or something like that. I thought about playing in the league and making sure that my family was just comfortable.
I wasn't even watching the draft lottery that year because the Bulls had such a infinitesimal chance of landing the #1 overall pick.
And you're sitting there going, there's no way, there's absolutely no way that these ping pong balls are going to fall the way of the Bulls.
The second pick goes to the Miami Heat. And that means the #1 pick in the 2008 NBA draft will be made by the Chicago Bulls.
I gotta call my brother.
When the ball fell, saying Chicago, what was crazy about it is that we wasn't expecting it. And second off, we thought that they was going to pick Michael Beasley.
Eric, what was in your mind when you saw the Bulls won the draft lottery?
I bet all us was surprised for 1.7% or whatever. And just seeing them win, I just thought about LeBron James. I thought he was the luckiest person in the world to get to play in his home city. And now I have that chance. I'm just hoping that they pick me.
All the guards wanted Michael Beasley and all the bigs wanted D Rose. And I really wanted Derrick.
We knew he was going to be the top 2 picks. He couldn't drop. As like going into the summer, all of our friends was just anticipating. Is he going to Chicago? Is he going to Miami? Especially in the lottery, where Derrick going to go?
A day after they win that lottery, I called John Paxson and I said, you have no decision. Derrick Rose is a slam dunk #1 guy. It's not even close. And I remember getting into a debate with Stacey King. I said, Stacey, this is Secretariat at the Belmont. You take Derrick Rose, and it's not even close.
My pick was Beasley at the time. And boy, I'm glad I'm not the GM. I'd have been fired.
This wasn't even a conversation. It was Derrick Rose, and there was no chance that Michael Beasley was the right choice in my mind, or your mind, or a lot of people. But that's what I remember most about heading into that draft.
We don't agree on everything. We've done a show for 11 years. We sat in this studio, and there was never a debate. We would open up the phone lines and the fans could debate with us, but it was never a debate on who the Bulls should take. It was Derrick Rose.
Derrick, how disappointing would it be if the Bulls did not take you?
I'll be hurt a little bit, but my goal is to play in the NBA, and I'll be playing for some team in the NBA.
You could sense that he had this great passion about the game, and he wanted to succeed so badly. He didn't always articulate it to you, but you could just kind of felt it when you were around him. Getting to know him and seeing the humility he carried with him was really impressive.
We didn't really know Chicago was going to pick Derrick until the night before, and we received a call from Chicago. Chicago told Derrick they really want to pick him, but it's some background history with his brother, talking about me.
If he sold drugs, if he was a felon. At the time, I couldn't take it because it's like, is it me that's getting picked or is it my brother that's getting picked?
He might not be the #1 pick because of some mistakes I made in my life. But Derrick told the Chicago Bulls, if you can't accept my brother, don't pick me. I remember that when it's all said and done, and he wouldn't eat, but I could see he was hurt. He teared up some, because I know he wanted to be the #1 pick. And I teared up too, because I thought I messed it up for him.
The good, the bad, the ugly. Me and my family, my brothers know that no matter what, we got each other back.
We feel badly that the Rose family believes that we had some motive. When you draft a young player that in their hometown, you worry about the outside influences. We didn't worry about that because we knew Derrick's family was so tight, and that was who he relied on. As we delved more and more into that draft, knowing that he'd had such a great support system around him, those were things that actually were encouraging to us. There was no belief that there was ever going to be an issue with Derrick Rose.
With the first pick in the 2008 NBA draft, the Chicago Bulls select Derrick Rose from the University of Memphis.
I can't say it made me feel relief. I was more happy for him than anything because he had went through a lot. People call him dummies because he don't talk that much and everything. It hurt because it's your brother and it's a family member. So it was joy and it was relief at the same time.
My knees actually got so weak I couldn't move. That was the proudest thing to me, is when he went up on there. stage as the #1 pick for Chicago Bulls, his hometown. And all I could say was, my baby's coming home.
It was like Jordan was coming back. A guy who was going to lay it all out on the court, who has a background of winning. It was like we had already won a championship.
The Chicago Bulls select Derrick Rose from the University of Memphis.
It's not a lot of people that make it to the league, period. You make it to the league and you get to play for the crib. Like, I don't know, that's the dream.
There's certainly a buzz around the city because obviously Derrick was so well known here. He was so well liked here. He was so well respected here. It gave the Bulls a feeling of being reborn.
The entire Bulls organization welcomes Derrick Rose into the Bulls family, and hopefully it's going to be a terrific ride here for a long, long time.
I want to thank you all for all coming out, and this is a dream come true to be a Chicago Bull, and I'm happy that the Bulls picked me, and that's
Better
about
be.
that's about it. This is what I felt like I was made to do, was to play basketball. If I wasn't to play basketball, like, I don't know what I would have done. Like, I probably would have been selling drugs just like my brother if I didn't find basketball.
Please give a warm welcome to Chicago native, #1 overall pick of the 2008 NBA Draft, and the newest member of your Chicago Bulls, Derrick Rose.
It's well documented how hard you work, but I also know that you got one little bit of kryptonite, Superman.
Oh, man.
That's your, you love Skittles.
I have a Skittle machine, man.
At home?
Yeah, like they send me like all new kinds of Skittles and stuff.
Man, I ate too many. I don't like Skittles no more to this day.
He just has an addiction for candy. It's something I've never seen before.
I physically had taken to put it on the top shelf so he could not get to it.
He'd always try to sneak the candy in. We try to stay on him pretty good about it.
He would chew gum during practice. He would chew it 3 times and then take it out of his mouth and then take another piece and chew it 3 times and then take another piece. I never saw anybody do that before.
He can't keep up this diet and play 82 games a season. At what point does that catch up to you?
Derrick went to Summer League and was awful. And that's the one where you go to Summer League and the guy gets 30 points and they go, well, it's just Summer League. And so he shows up in Summer League and he just played terrible. I think the Bulls were like, oh my God, we took the wrong guy.
We didn't get off to a great start right away, but you could just see how special he was.
Oh my God, he broke his ankle. Is there a medic in the house? So a strong finish from the 20-year-old rookie.
At that age, you're faster than everybody. You jumping higher than everybody. You just out there kind of like playing reckless off just pure talent.
Derrick first year in the league was off the chain. It was crazy. Had the city on fire. It brought everybody together. It was like Mike back in the day. 7 o'clock, everybody in the house watching the Bulls. It was like watching that little kid that was in Murray Park running around ever since we was little doing everything. Now he got a Bulls jersey on.
I remember going to Bulls games and just feeling like that was his stage and he would perform every time.
Not only did you have a good player and the guy worthy of #1, but a future All-Star and possible MVP was his first playoff game ever, and that was against the Boston Celtics.
I believe I was actually having like a house gathering with some friends. Everybody just sort of stopped what we were doing.
He is out of this world. First game of the playoffs? That's what they're telling us.
It's a very special place to play. A lot of history. They were the defending champs. What he did that night was just show that I'm here to stay and nobody can stop me. People really underestimate having hope, and that's what Derrick represented for us as his teammates and for the city. We didn't win the championship. We lost in the first round, but people still come up to me in Chicago and talk to me about that series.
That year, my brother was playing on the opposite team. Derrick just get to going crazy, like bucket after bucket, because nobody anticipated the Bulls to even win or have a chance. So after the game, I remember talking to my brother, and he just told me he real. He like, nah, he real. Shorty is real.
The next day, he's walking down Boylston Street in Boston, literally walking past pedestrians and bystanders, and nobody is recognizing him. Just without a care in the world, in his element, not being recognized after making NBA history the night before.
Ladies and gentlemen, Derrick Rose, your NBA 2009 Rookie of the Year.
Derrick, this may be the first of many NBA awards you're going to get. Who's going to get the trophy for this time?
My mom. Till I get my real house or something like that, I'll fight her then. But my mom's going to get the award right now. I think that she deserves it. She'll probably clean it every day or do whatever she has to do to it, but I'm definitely giving it to her.
These is like all the trophies and stuff that he got when he played. This is his little spot, and these is his trophies. This is his trophy in 2008. It's the T-Mobile Rookie of the Year. He got that from Chicago. This is his other one, Above the Rim Classic. That means he was jumping high. 2008. It's the T-Mobile Rookie of the Year. He got that from Chicago. This is his other one, Above the Rim Classic. That means he was jumping high.
He was doing things that no other point guard was doing. Him going to the lane, getting to the rim, and bigs would get out the way because they didn't want to get posted. I saw that so many times. That dunk kind of made people think, should I go block the shot? I don't want to end up on ESPN commercial because it was that freaky.
Derrick put that ball and cocked it behind his head and scratched his back with it and just kind of swole up like a cobra. Man, it was the most ferocious dunk that I've ever seen. I've seen Michael Jordan dunk on a lot of people, and that's probably like the best poster I'd ever seen.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, but it was a hell of a dunk, for sure.
I like this the most. Too big, too strong, too fast.
Too big, too strong, too fast, too good.
You ever see Derrick do that one move, man? You try to come behind his back and go behind the rim and go like this and do that? Yeah, tell him he got it from me.
I used to think that he was gonna break his back.
You look at Derrick and you look at his body and the way he dominated guards. Even though he's not a 6'6" guard, he was able to impose his will, 6'3", on bigger guards. So I would always say he was too big. And then him overpowering people. I saw him dunk on Greg Oden and dunking on 7-footers. We all knew he was the fastest guard in the league from end to end. And Derrick in his prime was faster than Russell Westbrook. So too big, too strong, too fast. And then at the end, he was just too good. People say, well, you made his highlights. And no, he made my job easy. I was just along for the ride. When you have an exciting player and an athlete like that, it just makes it so much easier.
What kind of expectations do you set for yourself individually going into year 3?
It's high. The way I look at it within myself, why not? Why can't I be the MVP of the league? Why can't I be the best player in the league? I don't see why. Why can't I do that?
That's exactly how Chicago people think. When Derrick Rose made that statement, Chicago as a whole rallied around him. They loved it. Fans ate that up. I remember hearing it. I thought it was crazy.
He saw the looks of surprise on a lot of media members' faces and just the way that comment was received, and he repeated it and he started believing it.
Why not? Yeah, we even had him on afterwards, and he was so humble, but yet he just would explain to us, if you can't have a goal and you can't say, I should be the best. And we always say about our athletes that, hey, if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. And in 2010, 2011, Derrick Rose walked the walk.
Rose to his left, goes right line, and drives home. This is MVP time. You hear the MVP chants, why not?
The MVP season was just crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. It was crazy. It was fun. It was fun. That's all the city everybody was talking about.
He brought us back to prominence in the league. He made himself into that MVP just through his work. So it was an exciting time for our franchise. We felt we had something sustainable that was going to last a long time.
I knew he was going to be an MVP, man. I ain't know it was going to be that early, though.
You are the youngest MVP in NBA history. It is my pleasure to award to you the 2010-11 MVP trophy.
This right here is for the city of Chicago more than anything. Thank you.
The way I play is for Chicago, so they accept me with or without the award. The way I play, period, is a Chicago way of playing basketball.
It was a special season, and he's such a humble guy. Obviously, to be that young and to win it, usually you have to be in the conversation for a couple of years before it actually happens. But I think that's very much telling as to who he is as a person and how dominant he was that year.
Everybody at Simeon was just so excited seeing that happening so early, like the sky's the limit. And we had an MVP in our city from the Bulls and from our hometown.
This is the most real Chicago sports moment ever. Just watching somebody get there and doing it while they're young, doing it on their own terms, and putting the city's name on it is just a feeling that's unmatched. That sends shivers down your spine.
His greatness was in his humility as a superstar. He was able to say, why can't I be MVP? So he had a confidence about him, but at the same time, he had a humility about him.
And last but not least, I want to thank my mom. Brother Rose, my heart, the reason I play the way that I play, just knowing that days that I don't feel like going into practice or I'm having a hard time, think about her when she had to wake me up, go to work, just making sure that I'm all right and making sure the family is all right. Those are hard days. My days shouldn't be hard because I love doing what I'm doing, and that's playing basketball. So you keep me going every day, and I love you, and I appreciate you being in my life.
It got me. It made me know I did the right thing with my boys, not just with him, but the rest of them. I couldn't believe that the things that he said and stuff that he said about me. And that made me more proud. I could have been on cloud nine because I knew I did the right thing.
You know, I was just speaking my truth. Everything that I said was things that I experienced and that I saw with my own two eyes. That all just came out in that speech.
There are a lot of people from Chicago that understood how hard it was for his mom to help him navigate through Inglewood.
His mom is a very special person, and to be able to do all the things that Derrick has done throughout his career, his family has been a great support system for him.
She the reason that this is all here. She fought and she clawed to make sure Derrick made the right decision. Everything, all the awards, all the accolades is because Brenda.
People who say like Derrick's not a great public speaker, come on man, look at that speech.
It was probably Derrick's most endearing moment as a Chicago Bull.
Derrick Rose, your 2010-2011 Kia NBA Most Valuable Player. What a humble superstar.
All at once, Dre brings it to me and say, Derrick told me to bring you this. This is where I put it at, and this is where it's been since he gave it to me. And so this is it. So that's us.
was in Orlando at the All-Star weekend. We signed a long-term deal. I know your mom, Brenda, your whole family, they were all there. Once the contract was done, tears were shed, and it was a really emotional moment, and an incredibly proud moment for us, but what were you thinking at this point in time?
A lot of things. Thought about my past, knowing what I went through. At that time, I was in that room. I couldn't believe it. I was signing a deal that could change not my life, but my family's and my brother's kids, even my friends. And trust me, I'm gonna try to do more than that, where I'm just gonna try to keep helping people, not myself and not only my family, but the city of Chicago, and hopefully it spreads from there.
I wanted to present you with your jersey.
My teammates gonna be jealous.
You are sexy.
Frame it.
Derrick was kind of ushering Adidas back into the forefront in the NBA. Here was one of the stars of the league wearing Adidas, and Chicagoans, I remember talking to shoe store places that said that they couldn't keep the shoes in stock.
I hate fame. And when I was younger, people used to always tell me, like, man, that's something you better get used to. Like, this game gonna take you far. You better get used to fame. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I played this sport because I love the sport and I want to take care of my family. All this other bullshit as far as like fame and everything else that comes with it, don't get me wrong, I'm blessed to have it, but it's just not me.
With that kind of money also comes huge responsibility, huge judgment from people. There was a lot on his shoulders.
He was just this young kid from Inglewood that made it and that didn't understand exactly why he was where he is.
You can take all this away. I'm gonna be the same person back in the hood, me and my friends and my family, and we still gonna be living a life just trying to find the next hustle.
I love you, Derrick! I am his #1 fan.
By being from Chicago, everybody think they know you. They might have went to school with you, but in their mind, they tell their friends, yeah, I know Derrick, I went to school with him. So that everybody think that they're Derrick's best friend. You know, you don't want to be rude to people and stuff like that, but sometimes we might go out to eat and he really can't eat because everybody want a picture. And if he say, you know, let me finish this up my family, then all of a sudden he might get criticized for that. Not by the media, but now, you know, it might be some people that's, like they say in the hood and the streets, oh, he acting funny now and all that type of stuff. Some people just don't understand it if you're not in his shoes or walking the path that he has to walk.
When you get to a point where he got, you're the face of the city now. Whether you want it or not, people are gonna be on you. I think it just created a atmosphere for him that he had to get used to. There's definitely no breaking him, but I think it kind of whittled him down a little bit. I'm not gonna say it was hard because Derrick loved the city of Chicago. It did get draining for him, but he loved the city, man, and any fans that wanted to come up and holler at him, he was willing.
At times it was overwhelming. I would say like in public and things like that, especially in Chicago, because he's from there. You got so many people pulling at him. From family to old friends to friends we went to high school with, friends he went to college with. I get people that I didn't even go to school with, people that went to school with him texting me, trying to get to him, and that's a little overwhelming. It still is at times.
I just would always remember him saying, if he having the blueprint. If he just always thought if I continue to work and work and work, everything would be okay. The stardom motivated him.
Yo, D, crazier than last year?
Way crazier, man. As you can see, it's a million people here, man. It's a blessing, man, just to have all these people show up and show a lot of love, man. I feel good.
There isn't a handbook for superstardom. There isn't a handbook for not having any level of privacy whatsoever. coming out of Inglewood, then getting the Adidas deal. That's a lot for a young man who lives in a very self-contained environment to deal with.
Derrick walked in, and because they started winning and getting better and everybody looked and he becomes the MVP, it became solely about Derrick. And it was never about Derrick, and Derrick knew that.
Derrick has been very committed to his teammates, to this organization, and to his hometown of Chicago. Thus, we're extremely excited to announce today that Derrick has agreed to a maximum length 5-year contract extension with the Chicago Bulls.
I don't think about money like that. If anything, when I say contract, I think about family, like my family good, making sure they all right. And I'm not talking about the ones that's living now. I'm talking about generations. I want to be so far down the line, like, oh, my family members don't even understand where all of it came from. Where it's like, what happened? Like, some hooping dude got it for me. That's how I want it to be. So that's one of my goals. I think I can finally say this now. Mom, we finally made it.
I just remember euphoria. I think at the time it was 30% of the Bulls' payroll, and you didn't have any problem with it. It was like a kid earned the contract, pay him whatever the league will allow them to pay him, and let's go get a championship, something we haven't seen in this town since Jordan and Pippen and others.
2011, 2012 was the 7th banner. It was going to go to the rafters.
We were preparing for a parade in the city. We knew that team was that good. The way Derrick was playing and carrying, we knew we had a shot.
I remember those playoffs starting, and I believed in my soul and my heart that nobody could with us. It's a pretty good feeling to feel that way, and nobody is going to be able to take this from us. This is our chance to win the championship. Derrick was ready. We were ready for him. That game 1, I mean, we were so ready.
Like, I remember coming down, I think I made like a jump hop to like a pass.
Rose came down bad on his left foot. See him holding onto his knee and down.
I remember passing the ball and feeling like my ACL tear a little bit. It didn't tear all the way, it tore a little bit. So when I went down on the floor, after I threw the pass, I went down on the floor. Right when I like laid down and put my hands over my head, I felt it tear a toe, like it totally tore. My leg just started shaking. I didn't know what was going on. I was stunned. I didn't know where the I was at.
Derrick's the type of guy that usually bounces right back.
Get up, get up, get up.
So when he didn't get up, I knew that it was serious. I was hopeful that it wasn't as serious as it was.
You know, praying at this point.
So I'm sitting in row 1 behind the basket that he got hurt, and it was silent. And you didn't know how to even process it. You wanted to throw up.
It's sickening. Like, honestly, it's just a feeling of sickness immediately.
When he's writhing in pain on the floor, your heart was in your throat. All of Chicago felt that. Like, we felt that.
I remember walking to the back to get a X-ray. The X-ray, of course, didn't do anything. They needed an MRI. And I remember going to the MRI. After getting out the MRI machine, they told me that it was tore and just breaking down. Like, I couldn't believe it.
When Derrick went down, I was like, all right, he might be out for a couple games, but he's going to be all right. I remember where I was sitting when I got the news that he tore his ACL. It was a lot. It was almost like somebody died.
It was the worst feeling you've ever had following the Bulls' playoff win. It was such a downer that we didn't even know how to process it.
For a 22-year-old, 23-year-old that just won MVP award, to have something drastically just happen to you like that, like, it can you up. Especially if you don't talk to anyone. And at the time, I wasn't talking to anyone. I thought I was strong enough to hold it to myself or hold it in, and it was killing me.
I think he kind of felt less of a man a little bit. I think he really just didn't know how to express it to, like, me or Dwayne or Alan, even our mom, that physically and mentally, it could be draining.
All you can do is be there to support him. Ultimately, Derrick's the only one that was going through that at the time. I understood the dark place he slipped into.
Injuries take you to a dark place because it's rehab. And I think people misunderstand when they talk about a guy not wanting to play. Guys would rather play than rehab. Rehabbing is not fun.
I waited a couple of weeks because they call it pre-rehab, where they try to strengthen it as much as possible. I was almost walking regular. You have some people that have ACL tears and they go a whole year without getting surgery. So I went a couple of weeks, I had to get surgery.
He's full of athleticism, and he's really never had to do the rehab components in life. That's why I really believe he has a chance to be 125%.
Doctor, in Derrick's case, what made him great was his ability to explode to the bucket, his speed on the floor. Will he be that same type of player after the healing and the rehab? I mean, you know, it's impossible to predict tomorrow.
Look, I said at the time, this is not revisionist history, that the Chicago Bulls' biggest mistake.
He's up to par as far as what the expectations were at this point in his rehab. Let's not forget he's still got a long way to go.
And it may be the camp of Derrick's mistake as well.
He's not sitting out the entire year. We're just going to bring him back slowly. I think the biggest thing to do is not put a time limit on it.
They should have announced he was out for the year, period. There is no chance he's going to come back.
I've been through a lot of stuff before, and I handled it pretty good just growing up. But this right here is just going to push me and make me work harder even more. Make you look at things totally different.
You have to listen to the player, and that's what we did. But ultimately, the player has to feel right in order to get out there on the floor. Derrick went through a devastating injury. It was difficult mentally to return from. So we knew it wouldn't be as smooth as we all wanted, but ultimately the player has to feel comfortable in himself.
That 12-13 season was just a disaster on so many levels. You know, Adidas filmed an inspirational promotional campaign called The Return, and then he didn't return. So let's start with that. You can't begrudge the shoe company for doing that because everybody figured that he'd be back at some point during the season.
He's on line to be the second greatest player in the history of the organization. Yes, better than Scottie Pippen, because he's the youngest MVP in NBA history. He's about to be Michael Jordan. Why would you risk sending this guy out there? Who's even thinking about that?
He's out there trying to rehab his knee. Maybe he's not even thinking about the public relations war that's going on about his rehab. But every day past the point where the Bulls said Derrick should be back and he wasn't back, Derrick was losing credibility with fans.
I remember it split about 50-50. There were some people that were adamant that you let Derrick come back when Derrick wants to come back. 50% of the Bulls fans were follow the doctor's advice. I felt at that time that if the doctors gave you the go-ahead, I wanted to see Derrick Rose play.
I can't imagine people putting all that pressure on me at 22. It's his life and his livelihood on the line, and we're all just like, get better, get better, get better, so that we can win. We just probably weren't focused on the right
I have never, ever seen a purported NBA star, guy makes $95 million a year in salary alone, not want to play.
His contract sucks. He's coming back as a $21 million player, and he might not be any good.
I'm pissed off, and Bulls fans should be pissed off too.
I know a whole bunch of haters out there are saying so many things. I think that's what's going to drive me. People thinking about what people saying. Like, is he going to be back, or is he going to have his speed, or is this and that? I know that's going to push me as a player.
Do you kind of have like almost a checklist of, you know, not people that's talking reckless, but people that, you know, might be doubting you, the Bulls, everything else? I know you don't forget anything.
I wouldn't say that, but I listen and watch everything. If I don't hear it, or especially one of my friends hear it, and they're telling me it, and that's why I like them, and that's why I love them to death, because they know that motivates me and make me want to do better as a player.
This narrative that got created that Derrick could come back and play and help him in the playoffs was ludicrous. No player in the history of the NBA. Bernard King had the first serious ACL. He's the first player to come back from an ACL surgery and make an all-star team. He was out 2 years. He came back in 2 years. And so Derrick can come back in 9 or 10 or 11 months and then walk into a playoff atmosphere where you got to play at a high level. That's nuts.
Remember the sports landscape in which we lived at that time. I believe Adrian Peterson came back really, really quick from an ACL and ran like crazy for the Vikings. So we're like, well, that's AP and that's contact. Here's Derrick and it's basketball. So can Derrick come back? And that was the internal fight. You had Derrick's defenders and you had the people wanting Derrick to try. And it was Chicago's sports civil war over this for months.
I could have came back during the end, towards the playoffs. They were mad because I sat the whole year out. I felt like I had to wait. Like, it wasn't my agent decision. It wasn't my trainer decision. It wasn't the Bulls' decision. It was my decision. Like, I wasn't ready. At the end of the day, my health is everything, and I'm not moving or budging for no one if I'm not ready to.
Unfortunately, the way that my business works sometimes is other narratives take the place of your story. Usually, great rule in propaganda is the first person to speak, they get to control the narrative. But no one really heard from Derrick throughout this time, and it caused a lot of bruising to his public perception by Bulls fans.
Now, outside of a few media gatherings, Adidas ads, we hadn't heard much from you since the time the injury occurred. Why was that?
I didn't want to do anything, to tell you the truth. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just wanted to rebuild my leg and be around my son.
And there was that very damaging story that he had been medically cleared to play.
And so now Derrick's left a twist in the wind. Well, wait a minute. If the doctors are clearing him, why isn't this warrior coming back to play? And then on his camp side, they never really addressed it. There's Derrick doing these workouts before the game, and you see him soaked in sweat, and then he would take a shower and put on his street clothes and watch the game. Well, if he can go out there and do all the stuff he's doing, and he's been medically cleared, how come Derrick isn't still out there doing it? That became the mantra from a lot of fans.
I think that's one of many little things that get turned into something larger than it has to be. All that was said was that Derrick physically could get out there on the floor if he felt ready. We were always very sensitive to what Derrick was feeling.
You could be medically cleared, but until the player feels he's ready to play, you have to trust the player. I trust Derrick.
No one ever doubted Derrick, and my dad made it clear from the very beginning that we didn't want Derrick coming back until he was 100%, until he was ready to come back.
He never got to the point where he felt he could go out and play without risking injury. You can run on a treadmill and you can do all that stuff. That doesn't mean you're ready to play in an NBA game. There was frustration because we felt the team was really close to being a championship team.
I look back at that time and I don't like it because I feel like I wanted him to come back selfishly. He was also my brother and I wanted him to be right. So it was just, I was torn a little bit.
I was also very proud of the guys for fighting on without Derrick, and we were always hopeful that at some point he could make the comeback.
If we knew from the very beginning that Derrick was not going to play the entire year, and we knew that with 100% certainty, we would have announced that he's not going back the entire year.
Now that you've had a little time, what do you kind of make of the whole season, which is obviously, you know, so controversial and so much, so talked about?
We said at the start of the year that, and it was from Jerry Reinsdorf on down, that we were going to be very conservative with Derrick's injury and we were going to support Derrick in any way that we could.
Jerry made it clear from the beginning how he wanted Derrick to approach it, and I think Derrick took on some unfair criticism for not coming back, but that's exactly what Jerry asked him to do.
Derrick, do you have any regrets how things were handled, either by you, by your team, or the Bulls, and how the communication was between you and the media?
Not at all. There's nothing you could do about it. They're free to voice their own opinion.
I remember that preseason, and that was the first time I saw him nervous. Emotionally, I think that he was very angry. It wasn't like a peaceful time where, wow, like Derrick's back and he's just in a good place. It was like everybody, everything. You guys turned your back on me because I was hurt, and I'm going to show all you guys what I'm all about.
Derrick's on the run. Oh, that knee looks good.
It was not a happy fighter. It was a fighter like coming to show everybody what I'm all about.
We started back to practicing, and then he started playing again. Then the second one.
Derrick Rose is limping right now. Almost like he just kind of took an awkward step right there. He was holding his knee. He's limping off.
That's the one. So it really said, why me?
Derrick Rose reported with right knee pain today. An exam and subsequent MRI confirmed a medial meniscus tear of the right knee. Surgery will be...
I'm texting you, and I'm like, he did it again. It was disaster. I just remember slumping down into my couch, and you're saying to yourself, no, this isn't happening again.
It sucked, man. I look back on those times and it's just, they're not good times. The games keep coming. You don't have time to digest things emotionally. I'm playing in the NBA, I'm living my dream, but those are not good times in my life.
I could care less what people say about me or criticize my game or whatever, or how I play. I could tear it 10 more times. As long as I'm playing hard and giving the game my all, I could live with it for the rest of my life.
A lot of guys from Inglewood think that same way. They're willing to die for what they believe and what they feel for. That's just Inglewood for you and how he was raised.
Our community, we don't care how many times Derrick get hurt. Like, that's a part of life. That's a part of being a basketball player. And we never saw a downside. We never thought about a slope.
But as a Bulls fan, what did you think of kind of the rise and fall, like what happened with Derrick, and seeing how high he went and then how low things got?
I mean, Derrick had no lows. He didn't, because he still maintained. Derrick is a legend, no matter what. We always wanted him to come back. That was the most important thing, is Derrick coming back. We're his family, and we just love every time he came back.
Downtown, this is Sergio on the score.
With the way the NBA's played, the fast pace, these kind of injuries that can cripple you, like Bulls now without Derrick Rose are just the Bulls. They're not a contender anymore.
There's not much you can do about it.
And Derrick Rose has just been injury prone because he has like these biomechanics issues that aren't working in his body, and they're not testing for it.
I don't necessarily think the Bulls are better with Rose all the time. That team is easy to stop when he's a ball hog. I mean, the Bulls as a team don't play as well when Rose is playing.
Think about what you just said. You just said they play better without him. You're wrong. That's stupid.
It still breaks my heart a little bit as a Southsider, as a Chicagoan, when it seemed like the city turned on him.
Well, that's Chicago for you, man. It's the city of haters. So that's just life, though. When you're down, they want to keep you down.
It was hard to, hear those things, especially from the fans, for a guy who was giving the city so much and asked for nothing in return.
The reaction that I got from listeners was they loved Derrick and they hated Reggie. And people just wanted Reggie Rose to shut the hell up. They wanted Derrick to stand on his own feet. They wanted to hear what he had to say.
What 24-year-old with over $400 million worth of contracts and endorsements can know what to do in life, and this money is just dumped on you? And that's what bothered me. And you'll see blog writers and everybody just taking shots at your brother, but they hide behind these newspapers. And I'm like, if you're going to be a man about it, say what you got to say, you know, and that's the way I took it.
It's hard to tell someone who clearly helped you that you need to go to the background now. That I got it from here. Someone who has loved you and protected you your whole life. That's a hard thing to ask. That's a hard thing to ask your brother. That you saw sacrifice for you in ways that are unimaginable. To now, I got it. You need to go away.
I just looked at it like, that's my brother, that's my family. Somebody got to defend them. And let me take the heat, all the way to the point that Charles Barkley was talking about me.
It's going to be interesting when Derrick Rose come back because he is the facilitator of their offense. He makes the players around him better, and his brother needs to shut the hell up too, number one. Stop tweeting about coaches and players and stuff. Let the famous person be famous. You just shut the hell up.
Growing up in Inglewood, if someone bullying your little brother, the big brother go come to make this person stop bullying your little brother. And that's all I did in real life.
This narrative that got built up that somehow Reggie and his brothers were puppeteers manipulating Derrick was not true. That was complete bullshit. But it became a nice story for some.
They can't get a story with me, or they can't get a story with my agent. They can't get a story from nobody in my family. They can't talk to anybody in my family. They can't talk to my agent. They can't get in touch with me. So they'll fabricate a story, put it out there, see if someone bites on it. That story may be so false, and they just want sales.
It seemed like there were so many people out there who wanted to tear him down, to kind of prop themselves up. They didn't ever take into account his whole background growing up where his family protected him. And then all of a sudden, he's in a world where people are taking some real shots. That kind of hardens you as a person.
He and I would talk, and he was just devastated by some of the stuff. You know, the injury stuff. He did use it as fuel. Yet, he wasn't used to being injured. And it took more time than he wanted. He was impatient with it.
I felt when I came back last time, I wanted it too bad. And this time, I'm just going to let the game come to me. And I still have goals, man. I still got stuff I want to achieve on the court and off the court. And just hearing so many doubters out there, I guess it's going to be funny seeing them, like, eat their words. I'm thinking about long term. I'm thinking about after I'm done with basketball, having graduations to go to, having meetings to go to. I don't want to be in my meetings all sore or be at my son's graduation all sore just because of something I did in the past.
I don't even know what to say about that. I understand how important it is when you're done playing to want to be healthy. But when you're in it, I think we were all a little bit like just thrown off. At the end of the day, Derrick can say some crazy shit, but at the same time, when he's in the trenches, you're going to want that guy.
We all would have liked him to have said it differently because we knew what he meant. Injuries in this business for athletes, they do force you to think about your mortality as a player. But I thought he was unfairly criticized for that, and I think that started some real negative things from the outside that I think stung him. You know the young man, and you know where his heart is. He's in his hometown, and all of a sudden he's attacked. I'm sure it hurt.
I can vividly remember that not going over well with the people that would call our radio station, and that wasn't a 50-50 split. That was 90-10.
Keep in mind where we are. We're in Chicago, and this is a Chicago kid, and this is a blue-collar city. When we carry our lunch bucket, we go to work, even if we don't feel well. And it's not about retirement, it's about today. And that angered a lot of people. Is the kid from Chicago now just a rich millionaire?
Everything I got in trouble with in the public or in the media, it came from me telling the truth. I want to be able to walk in the future. I want to be healthy in the future. That was exactly what I meant to say. And that's the same thing players are saying now.
Derrick's image in Chicago took a huge hit. And all of the good work that he had done before just went away. Poof, like that.
You got all these fans that's on your side at one point. Then you feel like they jumping ship. You know what I'm saying? I think as him being young, he just wasn't really understanding it.
It was very frustrating sometimes. Out of 20,000 people, you would just hear this one person while you're on the court. Pass the ball. Derrick, you suck. Stop shooting the ball. Go to the hole. Get him out of here. Trade him. It wasn't last year in Chicago. I could tell it got so frustrated, especially when he was going through the situation when he had got hit in his eye and he had that mask on and he trying to play, and I wanted to sit him when he got hit in the eye because I knew his vision wasn't right. And he was like, I don't want to hear no more from the paper. He was just tired of it. You know, I just looked at him like, I think this might be his last straw here. I'm playing with my eye messed up, and they still criticize me while my eye is blurry. So damn if I do, damn if I don't, because if I didn't play and I would have said, they would have been like, oh, he was still able to play, so why he's not out there? So it was damn if I do, damn if I don't. I'm going to do what makes me happy.
There was a distance that was created between Derrick and whether it was the Chicago media or the Chicago Bulls fans.
Or the Bulls.
Or the Bulls. And all of those relationships began to fracture. You could feel it. It was palpable.
I became a critic of Derrick's because of the way things were handled. And so I'm doing my talk show, Sports Talk Live, on the court at the United Center one night. And our producer walks over and says, guess what? Derrick is going to come on the show. We're on live television. Here he comes. I have to address the elephant in the room that I've been a critic.
So when people are critical, me included, you don't let that stuff bother you. You go, hey, man, that's your job.
Not knowing where it's going to head. He hits me on the leg. He goes,
no, that's your opinion, man. I can't get mad at that. That's your opinion. I can't get mad by somebody's opinion.
Wow, this kid's unbelievable.
So the guy that said to me at the Berto Center, when I'd die on that court to win a title, that guy's still here.
It's still here, man. It's still here.
That told me a lot about his character.
I don't know where that message got lost or whatever, but I can't pay attention to it.
And at the end of the day, like I told Derrick, you know, sometimes to get the crown, you got to go back and get it. You can't just sit back and talk about, you know, what people say. Sometimes you got to just go out there and show people what it is.
Looking, finds Rose. Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer!
And he jumps in midair and catch him. He's just got the stale face. That's my Derrick Rose.
Words at the time couldn't describe that feeling. The thought process was, man, we overcame. You overcame, we overcame, and it's paid off. It showed at that moment. We just thought it was nothing but great from there.
That was a crazy year, and that was a really, really big shot. And I really felt like this was the chance for us to go to the finals.
You can start feeling good again because, you know, you're just on edge about feeling good about anything at some point, because it's just, at the moment, it just seemed like everything Derrick did, through all the good, somebody found some way to put in some bad, some way, somehow.
It did seem like, you know, we were, again, headed in a good direction. So many people had kind of written him off and talked poorly about him. His heart had changed in some ways too, you know, about how people perceived him. As an organization, we were kind of in an iffy spot, and we knew we had some decisions to make going forward.
Derrick, you'll be 29 when this contract ends. Can you think of playing for another team other than the Bulls?
I don't think so, unless they trade me or something. Unless they trade me.
That ain't happening.
I would want to finish my career here, but we'll have to see. You do hear about like trade rumors here and there, and this last one, the Knicks one, was pretty big because it caught a lot of people attention. Yeah, I just stay out the way, man. Like, it's cool to hear about it, but I'm good with being in Chicago, and like I said, we're trying to win there, get back on the right track. So That's the only thing I could think about is just being in Chicago, but I do hear the rumors. I never really thought about just packing up and just leaving or like demanding a trade or something like that. All right. He ain't answering. I'm so nervous right now. I don't know why.
Why do you want to talk to you?
Yeah. Cause he in New York right now.
Yeah, you just got that.
I hope nothing didn't happen. Kind of nervous.
All right, Rose interview, take 4, marker.
A big separation.
Here it is. Here it is.
What's up, B? You lying. You serious? Yeah.
Okay, or are you
just in awe. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right.
Let's just wait a minute. If you need some time, you want to.
I'm good, bro.
Tell me you're good.
I'm good.
Okay. We're still rolling. What was the phone call?
That might be traded to New York.
Just found that out now. What was the phone call? What did he say?
Really just telling me to prepare myself. Because something might happen.
But you don't know when, how.
In the next couple of hours.
How do you feel about that? What are your emotions?
Anxious. It's funny how everything plays out in this business or in my life, period. It always be twists and turns like this. I don't know how to feel right now. Like, I'm anxious, but shy. It's shy, man. That made me who I am, man.
You've been with them for 8 years.
8 years, but it's no hard feelings. Like, nothing, no grudges or anything. If it was that, it's no hard feelings at all. I understand it's a business, and They're trying to do what's best for the team, I guess. And I don't think I would be wrong for using that as motivation. Wow. I just can't believe it.
It's a really hard decision to trade any player that you respect and appreciate. But we knew that this was Derrick Rose, and it was a situation that we really had to contemplate. We knew that it would be hard for him. We knew it would be hard for us. We just kind of felt at the time that we needed to go try a different way. And I think, too, that when you factor in all the stuff that he went through, the organization went through, that at some point there was probably going to be a separation. You make tough decisions sometimes in this business, but it wasn't easy. So that's one of those ones that you look in the mirror and you say, this one hurts, because this is a terrific young man who's been through a lot. And there were times I could sense that maybe he needed to get out of Chicago given all the things he'd been through. There were times he felt like his hometown kind of turned on him. I think we all learn a lesson in things like this, that even though it's hard in the moment, as time goes on, we all learn from it.
We had questioned if he was going to be there forever, but yeah, they'll definitely trade your ass.
I took a ton of phone calls that night, and the majority of the phone calls were good riddance. Like, we had gotten all the way to that point, good riddance, from a kid who had grown up in Chicago. And it was terribly disheartening to hear how venomous fans had become in their critique of Derrick Rose, the player, that they now wanted him out of town. Can you imagine that? You grow up in Chicago, and now the people there don't want you here.
I remember having a lady call in who was crying because he was our guy. He was a Chicago guy through and through, and now he's going to go play for the Knicks. I was really stunned that that's where it ended up.
I'm going to go somewhere, and I'm not sure people are going to like it. There's a sense of two Chicagos, in the basketball sense, in a political sense, and a real life sense. You almost felt like the segregation of Chicago, almost the history of segregation in Chicago, met at Derrick Rose, because so many people in Chicago, so many black people in Chicago felt like Derrick Rose was being unfairly mistreated by a largely white media. And fans, the season ticket holders of Chicago, clearly are a different demographic. And they looked at the dollar signs, and they looked at, why aren't you playing? And they're looking at the media reports. The doctors say you're cleared to play, why aren't you playing? And then he's out there and he's not the same high-flying 19-year-old that he once was. While the protective version, the outside family, so to speak, of Derrick Rose, people who aren't blood, but felt like they needed to protect Derrick Rose because Derrick Rose was their cousin in some form. Derrick Rose was their younger brother in some form. It was so interesting as a resident of Chicago, but someone from the outside looking in, to see how different it was. And it goes back to the expectations that were placed on Derrick from the moment that he got there relative to the sheer joy that many Chicagoans from the South Side, from Inglewood, felt the moment that he was drafted. And they go back to that. And everything that happened since then was gravy. So the injuries and all that other type of stuff didn't matter to them. They didn't worry about the championship, they worried about the kid. And a lot of other people were looking at the championships that they could have won. They looked at the what-if factor. They looked at all these other different things, from the injuries to the money to the confusing statements to the public image. And you could see that it meant, and it was like throwing a Molotov cocktail in the city.
It's the most polarizing, hard to wrap your arms around sports story that I've ever lived through in the city of Chicago.
My thing is I'm bringing Chicago to New York. The way I play is just that Chicago raw type of just hooping. Like, I still feel like I'm Pooh. I still feel like I'm myself. I don't know why I was traded, but I would like to tell him thank you. Thank you. For real. Chicago is more than just like a home. Like, it grew me into the man I am today. And that's one of the reasons why I changed my number to 25. I'm playing in New York, but I want to bring something from Chicago with me.
All right, Derrick. Thanks very much.
But
okay. That smile, I ain't seen that in a long time. I ain't seen that, Randall. I ain't seen that since 08. I ain't seen that since 08.
Talking about 08.
And I ain't seen somebody talking about going out there and doing your thing. Right.
A woman suing Derrick Rose for gang rape in a civil action says that he and several other men drugged her, broke into her home, and gang raped her in August of 2013. Derrick Rose's attorney, though, is speaking out. She says the plaintiff is out for money and that Rose will be vindicated.
Trial was something that caught not only myself but everyone off guard, because for one, I never disrespected a woman in my life. One of the reasons why I wanted to fight the case is because I wanted to prove that I was innocent. Anybody else, I guess, would have paid them off or settled, but I felt like we didn't do anything wrong, and it was something that I wanted to fight for, not only myself but for my friends too.
After 2 weeks, Derrick Rose was back in a Knicks jersey this weekend. The starting point guard was cleared of any wrongdoing in a civil case in Los Angeles.
I mean, it would change anyone, but like I said, I spoke on it, and this is all behind me now. Like, that's the past now. Only thing I can focus on and worry about is the future.
Everything changed just before tip-off for the Knicks when they announced tonight that Derrick Rose wasn't starting, and that was just the beginning of the mystery. It continues to be really the big unknown. His whereabouts are currently a mystery.
I was worried about him. Nobody knew where he was or how he was doing.
You're one of the closest guys to him here. Have you been in touch with him? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Everything is okay?
Yeah, he's okay. So I texted with him, and he just said, look, I'm okay. I'm with my mom. And I get it. It was just like a very stressful time. You just don't have time to digest anything because the games just keep coming. We saw Derrick in practice the next day, and he just apologized to the team, and we moved on.
That day, I woke up, I went to shoot around, I was heading back home, I was talking to my mom, and I still didn't think I was gonna leave until I got dropped off. I went up to my apartment, I was talking on the phone for about an hour, 2 hours, then I hopped on the plane. I just had to talk to my mom. Like, it was a lot going on.
I think he had a breakdown. It was a different time, and at some point he got down, and honestly, I think he didn't know how to deal with it by himself.
How are you doing?
Feeling a lot better than yesterday.
What can you tell us about yesterday?
That was a family issue. For one, it had nothing to do with the team or basketball, but that's the first time I ever felt like that emotionally, and I had to be with my family.
I don't care what the family emergency is, you at least have to let your employer know, here's what I would do. I would suspend him, at least for a few games, and then I would look to trade him, and if I couldn't trade him, I'd cut him.
Is Derrick Rose fully committed to the team, and are the Knicks fully committed to Derrick Rose beyond this season?
Did it seem like after sort of bouncing around a little bit the last couple of years that maybe you found a little bit of stability here that you wanted?
Of course, I'm just looking for comfort. Like, I'm not here to, for one, steal nobody's job. Like, come on, I've been in that position before. Early in my career, I did that. I'm here to help.
And obviously, he's grown. He's a lot different today than he was 7 or 8 years ago. I think we all are. You learn from your experiences, you mature, there's a lot that goes on. But he's always been a great person.
It's all about not being content. Like, I'm not content with where I'm at as a basketball player, just in life, period. Like, I'm cool with it. I'm blessed to have it. Never take it for granted, but I think I will always want more. And it's not for me. I look at it for, like, my family. Like, it feels good to be able to treat your family the way that I treat my family, and I never want that to stop.
Derrick's a very private person. Derrick has his kids now, and he's in love, and he looks at peace. It's just good to see him happy. When you're happy off the court and your house is in order, like Tibbs likes to say, it shows on the court. He's in Minnesota. The expectations are different in Minnesota. He can just find peace in basketball.
I'm God gifted, so if I just go out there and play, you'll be able to easily see that the best revenge is massive success, and that's the mindset that I have right now.
Rose attacks, challenges Derrick Rose, has 41. One off of his NBA career high. The stop, the go, the finish. 46 for Rose.
Even when a superhero is knocked down, he's still a superhero at the end of the day. And Derrick Rose showed why he's still a superhero.
Dylan, 2011 MVP, Rose.
Everybody just streams out on the floor and showing the respect. They all know what this means to them.
What does it mean to you, Derrick?
Man, everything, man. I work my ass off, bro.
Anytime that you see me showing emotion like that, it comes from knowing where I came from.
In every story, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so the beginning was great. The middle was marred by injury. And I think the end's going to be great.
I just got to do everything opposite of what my dad did, which is pretty easy, especially if I care.
The first moment where I ever started to compare athletes or even think about how celebrities as a whole give back or don't give back was seeing him interact with kids in Roseland and Auburn Gresham.
It's emotional just being here, knowing where I came from, 2 blocks away from here. If it weren't for you all, I wouldn't be here I wouldn't be here before you. Thank you, and I appreciate you all.
Seeing him paying for people's funerals, just being a part of the city still. He's there for everybody.
Derrick Rose! He was everything to Chicagoans. He was everything to Southsiders. Kids that wanted to go to the NBA out of Chicago now had an example and a blueprint on how it could be done.
Are there any Simeon players in the great lineage and history you look up to, role models?
Oh, Derrick Rose. I look up to that man so much.
Me being that 6th grade kid and eager to be in the gym with Derrick and be around greatness, just those little memories is what helped me be the person I am and helped my hoop dreams and inspired me to go to Simeon and to be like him. That's my hero.
Nobody contributed more. He gave $1 million to this after-school program. Michael Jordan, and no offense to Michael, but Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, none of those guys ever made contributions anywhere close to the level that Derrick Rose did.
Having a foundation in Chicago and doing work with at-risk youth, it's important to have people who have gone through a similar background. He came from the hood, came from Inglewood. So when Derrick would walk in the building and Derrick would talk, it meant that much more because he was one of them. And I know Derrick, and Derrick is a painfully shy person, and he had to fight that because he knew he means so much to the city. And that's why I'll always have that dude's back, because I know how much he fought inside himself, just being a painfully shy kid and having to be the voice for the hopeless. He'll have my respect forever.
To this day, he'll still say, "Coach, I love you." Wait a minute. You played for me 1 year. He'll see me, we'll talk, he'll hug me, "Coach, I love you." Come on. It just shows that he's deeper than all this. And the injury and all this hurt him to his core. Not winning a championship hurt him to his core. Being attacked by it hurts him. But I will tell you that at the end of the day, who he has not changed.
Waddle and Sylvie on ESPN 1000. You sent out the question last night about Derrick Rose getting his number retired. You can't be serious, can you?
There were a lot of people, way more than I expected, that said absolutely because of what he meant to the city. Derrick meant something more within this city to a lot of people because he provided hope.
I've been saying they need to retire his number. Like, he's not finna come. Where you gonna be, Derrick Rose for the Bulls now? Come on. He was a hometown hero. Just the real son of Chicago.
I really hope that at some point there is some sort of reconciliation between Derrick Rose and Bulls fans. There is a missing piece. I hope that Bulls fans remember how much pure joy watching Derrick Rose play gave them.
And the 6'3" guard from Chicago.
Chris Dunn just draped all over Derrick Rose. Derrick is the heart. Thing of beauty. Derrick Rose, everybody here at United Center chanting MVP.
Yeah, I think that was a smile, too.
I cracked a smile a little bit. Made me reminisce about some of the old days and how grateful I was to be in that position at a young age. And it was very special to come back here and play. It meant a lot.
Our fans have always been loyal fans, and our fans have adored Derrick. He means something to this city and this organization. He always will. He's so great as an MVP, and then to go through the things, both physically and mentally, to get back to where he's at, and to feel comfortable with who he is. It's a really wonderful thing.
Chicago made me who I am. Being drafted by the Bulls was a dream come true. I carry Chicago with me everywhere I've gone.